They say you never really know your neighbors until they show you their true colors. And in my case, those colors came from a spray bottle aimed at my service dog. What happened next turned a petty HOA feud into a federal case that ended with our president in handcuffs. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. Living in Cedar Hollow Estates wasn't my dream choice, but the commute made sense and the trails were perfect for Ranger, my service dog. Ranger isn't a pet, he's trained to ground me through PTSD spikes from my military service. He's disciplined, calm, and always wears his service vest when we're out. Because of that, I know the Americans with Disabilities Act. Federal law is clear. Service dogs aren't pets, and HOAs can't restrict or tack on special requirements. But our HOA president, Nadine Mercer, decided her clipboard carried more authority than Congress. We met during my first week. Nadine introduced herself like royalty conducting an inspection. Then her eyes dropped to Ranger. "I don't recall approving a dog in this community," she said, chin tilted. I explained, politely, that Ranger is a service animal protected by federal law. Nadine scoffed and muttered something about people gaming the rules. That should have been my first red flag. Over the next few weeks, the notices started. My grass was an inch too tall. My mailbox was the wrong shade of black. My trash can was visible from the street for 45 minutes after pickup. Each letter ended with her looping signature and a smug smiley face, which felt more threatening than a skull and crossbones. I complied to keep the peace, but I knew Nadine wasn't done. The real test came at the HOA meeting. She unveiled a policy update. All animals, including service dogs, must be registered with the board and wear HOA-approved ID tags. I raised my hand and cited federal protections. She cut me off mid-sentence. "Community standards come first," she said, tapping her clipboard like a gavel. After the meeting, she cornered me in the hallway, breath sharp with coffee, eyes hard. "If you want to be difficult," she whispered, "I can be difficult too." I didn't realize then how literal that threat would become, or that the next time I saw Nadine on my property, she wouldn't be holding a pen. She'd be pointing a nozzle. It happened on a Tuesday morning, the kind of day where the air feels quiet enough to let you think maybe things will calm down. I was walking Ranger along the sidewalk, his vest strapped on, when I saw Nadine striding toward us. She wasn't carrying her usual clipboard. This time it was a spray bottle, the kind gardeners use for weeds. At first I thought I was imagining it, but then her lips curled. "Rules are rules," she snapped. "This dog isn't approved." Before I could react, she raised the bottle and sprayed Ranger straight in the face. Ranger yelped, stumbling, pawing at his muzzle. I dropped to my knees, pulling him close, trying to flush his eyes with bottled water I always carry. My hands were shaking. The only thing louder than Ranger's whimper was the rush of blood in my ears. "You just assaulted a service dog," I shouted. Nadine smirked, arms folded now that the bottle was empty. "Don't be dramatic, it's just deterrent spray. Dogs don't belong in a deed-restricted community. You'll thank me when you move out." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title II and III, interfering with a service animal is a federal violation, not just a civil complaint, an actual crime. I pulled out my phone, snapping pictures of Nadine still holding the bottle, Ranger's reddened eyes, and the drops still glistening on his vest. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. When Nadine realized I was recording, her mask slipped. She lunged, trying to block the camera. "You can't film me without permission. That's against HOA bylaws." I laughed bitterly. "Lady, HOA bylaws don't override federal law. You just broke it on camera." I called animal control first, then the sheriff's office. By the time deputies arrived, Ranger was calmer but still blinking hard. The officers separated us, asking what happened. Nadine immediately launched into her performance, waving her hands dramatically. "This man refuses to follow the rules. That mutt attacked me, and I had no choice but to defend myself." The deputy turned to me. I silently handed him my phone with the video queued up. He watched, expression tightening. Then he turned back to Nadine. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "you might want to stop talking." Her face drained, the first crack in her perfect composure. The deputies didn't just write up a report, they called in their supervisor, and suddenly, Nadine's smug HOA shield began to crumble. Ranger was still pressed against my leg, his eyes watery but calm. The supervisor asked me straight, "Sir, would you like to press charges? Interfering with a service animal is a criminal matter." I didn't hesitate. "Yes." She knew Ranger was a service dog. She's been harassing me for weeks. She did this deliberately. The supervisor explained it clearly. Under 18 U.S. Code 1368, it's a federal crime to intentionally injure or attempt to injure a service animal assisting a veteran. On top of that, she was also looking at animal cruelty, reckless endangerment, and harassment under the ADA. Each charge carried serious weight: fines, probation, and in the case of the federal charge, possible prison time. When the deputies moved in with the cuffs, Nadine snapped. "You can't arrest me. I'm the president of this HOA," she barked, her voice trembling now more than commanding. The supervisor's reply was ice cold. "Ma'am, your title doesn't place you above federal law. You are under arrest." The crowd of neighbors recording on their phones only made it worse for her. She thrashed, shrieked about community standards, and even tried yelling that I should be arrested for bringing Ranger into a no-pet community. But, with the body cams rolling and my video already uploaded to the county evidence system, she was cornered. They read her charges one by one before guiding her into the cruiser. Federal violation, interference with a service animal, animal cruelty, harassment under the Americans with Disabilities Act, disorderly conduct. I stood there, Ranger leaning into me as though he understood every word. For the first time since moving into Sunnyside, I felt like the law was on my side, not hers. And when the HOA board voted unanimously to strip her of her presidency, I knew justice had been served. The same neighbors who once whispered behind my back now nodded in respect as Ranger and I passed. One thing was certain: nobody in that neighborhood would ever mistake my service dog for a pet again.